Hi everyone, my name is Steven. My pronouns are he, him, and I am joining you today from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of the Kwantlen Nation here in Langley, BC. So today I am 1 month on testosterone, and so I wanted to make a little video update about some of the things I expected and some of the things I didn't expect this past month while on testosterone. The first change that I noticed, probably about 3 days on testosterone, is something called bottom growth. And for those of you that know what bottom growth is, great. And for those of you that do not, I encourage you to do your own research on this. It's a little bit of a personal topic, but essentially, I noticed it right away. Mine happened within the first 3 days. It's kind of subsided a little bit now in the last week or so, but things are definitely growing down below, and it's substantial. Like in the first month, it's very, very noticeable. Some of the things that have come alongside of that bottom growth is an increase in libido. Yep. Can't really do much about that. It's just one of those things about going through boy puberty at the age of 24 years old. And just a little bit of irritation. So I've had to get underwear that are a little bit bigger and fit a little bit looser just to ease some of that discomfort. The second thing that I noticed, my jaw has gotten a little bit more cut and defined. And it's pretty gradual, but looking at the first day versus now, I can definitely see a difference. So that's pretty neato. And the last thing is hair growth. Hair growth hasn't been huge. It is happening. There is hair growing, but I don't have like lots and lots and lots of hair. It's more like little bouts of peach fuzz that are covering parts of my body that didn't have a whole lot of hair before. The most noticeable places are my jawline right here and a little bit on my upper lip, which I am super thrilled about. It's awesome. And other parts of my body that I've started to notice it a little bit are my legs, my arms, and my chest. I've been growing the hair on my legs for about probably 6 months now. And I had a bit of a hard time. I got to this point where it just stopped growing. But now being on T for the last month, I can definitely see that the hair is starting to grow up my legs and onto my thighs, which is cool. Another part is my arms. So I never really had a whole lot of hair on my upper arms past my elbow, but now it's definitely creeping up. And I can just see, again, just like a layer of peach fuzz that's just coating the rest of my body. And the third thing that I've noticed is my chest. I was really worried about this at first. I just wasn't really a big fan of chest hair and I didn't want it on my body per se. But now that I like kind of have a little bit, I seem to like it, and I think that I'll just enjoy it more and more. And the chest hair isn't, again, it's not substantial. It's more like little blackheads all over my chest, which I thought, I could scrub off with charcoal scrub, but it didn't come out because they're just hair follicles. So you can just see every day like a little bit more poking of hairs on my chest, essentially. So some of the things I didn't expect on testosterone. And this is different dependent on the person. This is just speaking solely on my personal experience on testosterone, but I have spoken to a couple other individuals and some folks have also experienced these things, so I don't think they're very uncommon. So the first thing is neck pain. I know that my neck is growing. It's probably one of the parts of my body that I've also noticed the most. My neck muscles are getting a little bit bigger and broader. It's, I guess, preparing my voice for the big drop, which will probably happen in a few months. But these muscles right here have been really tender. I know the skin is getting thicker on my neck as well, and so is the skin on my cheeks and my chin in preparation for, I guess, facial hair in the next year or so. But yeah, my neck has just been really tender and like the muscles hurt to touch. And actually a couple weeks ago, my throat actually hurt. I thought I had a sore throat. And so I had to drink a lot of fluids to just like ease that pain. And now it doesn't seem so bad. It was worse in the first couple of weeks, but yeah, that's just kind of something that I wasn't expecting. Another one is heat flashes. So, I mean, I think it has to do with menopause, but my menstrual cycles have stayed the same, and it's only been a month. But yeah, I wasn't really expecting this. I get hot like pretty often now. I feel like I'm always wearing a t-shirt and just like my underwear around the house. Yeah, I'm just hot. Another kind of interesting thing is that I started getting injection pain. So I do subcutaneous injections once a week, so every Thursday morning, and they're not big needles. Like they're pretty small. A lot of people actually don't even feel them. For me, it doesn't hurt until after. So I've eased a little bit of the pain by warming up the testosterone in the vial and then in the syringe before I put it in my body, just because the cold kind of hurts a little bit. But once it's warmed up, I barely even feel it. It's just afterwards, like the next day, I get a little bump on the injection site. And it's only happened twice now, so this week and last week, and I actually still have the bump from last week. But basically, I don't know, it's just a little bump, and it's actually a little bit itchy as well. So I don't know, if it becomes more of a problem, I'll talk to my NP about it, but for now, it doesn't really bother me. It's another one that has really just been so unfortunate these days is that my clothes doesn't fit anymore. Like nothing fits. And I don't know if it's because of like the COVID blues and sitting at home all day, or because of exercise intolerance, because I have a lot of health conditions to worry about, or because of the tea, just moving some fat and stuff around. But none of my clothes fit. My pants, they don't fit. My shirts, they don't fit. My waist seems to have gotten bigger, so I went up a size of pants. But the other thing is that I just don't like the fit on my body anymore. So I used to buy shirts that were size small, even medium, and I liked the fit. And now all of a sudden I don't. I put on my favorite shirt one day and I'm just like, I don't like this. So yesterday I donated about 7 bags of clothes, and I ended up buying like a whole new wardrobe from the thrift store just because I need new clothes that fits. So everything I got is now like 2 sizes up from things I used to wear. And also, I made sure not to spend more than like $15 per item of clothing Canadian, because I know that in a few months it won't fit me again, or I might not even like it anymore. So it's kind of just like one of those periods of going through different types of clothing. I felt like it was a free-for-all for me yesterday, like the first time I actually went and bought solely men's clothes. And yeah, it's just so interesting. And I think part of that also is because my goal essentially right now is to just be able to pass. Like I just want people to read me as male. But I know that when I become more comfortable in my gender, and when I, start to look more like a cis male and I start passing as a cis male, I'll be so much more comfortable in my gender identity that I am going to be happy expressing my femininity a little bit more and being more in touch with that side of me. Right now, I'm just trying to shun it and just keep it out of sight, because I feel like I need to be the manliest, most masculine man that exists, and I can't show my hips and I can't show my chest. But I think that'll change, because yeah. And the last thing is that my mental health has been heavily affected. So I was warned that starting testosterone can enhance pre-existing mental health conditions. And I didn't expect it to hit me as hard as it did. It's gotten a lot worse before it's gotten better. I think I'm at a little bit of a plateau now, at least today, in the last couple days, but it comes and goes in waves. So the first week or so that I started taking tea, I noticed that my temper got a lot shorter. I was getting frustrated more easily. I was getting angry, which is just an emotion that I don't usually feel. And then that fizzled a little bit and turned into sadness. So the mental health conditions that I'd managed so very well on my own for the last couple of years have just gotten to be a problem again. Again, I'm fairly confident and able to say that it's due to the influx of new hormones into my body. And I've spoken to healthcare providers about this, and I'm seeking the care I need. But it's just one of those things that I just was not prepared for. I just got sad. Now, the good news is that I have spoken to a couple folks who told me that it should get better in the next couple months. So fingers crossed for that. If you're thinking about starting testosterone, just be aware that there's a risk that your mental health might suffer. And it might be a good idea to look into that or talk to your healthcare provider about it as well. Now, I think this kind of goes hand in hand with the mental health worsening, but my dysphoria has gotten significantly worse, like significantly. So gender dysphoria is something that a lot of trans individuals and non-binary individuals experience. It's essentially where you feel a sense of discomfort and you just generally just don't feel good about certain parts of your body and how that doesn't match up with your gender. So for me, the biggest parts of my body that I'm dysphoric about are my chest is one, my hips, and my voice. Those are the three that just drive me completely insane. And I guess I thought that starting tea would make my dysphoria go away, but it actually made it worse in a sense. And the way that my NP explained it to me is that there's two possible kind of outcomes when you start HRT. So the first one is that your dysphoria in certain parts of your body might go away because the hormones are changing your body. And so you're just feeling more gender euphoria and you're not noticing those parts of your body that used to make you dysphoric anymore. And the other side of that is that you're starting to see who you've always felt like you were on the inside, and your body is changing in a very euphoric way, that the parts of your body that make you dysphoric are making you more dysphoric because they just look foreign now. So that's where I'm at. I used to be able to leave the house without a binder. I actually used to walk around the house without a binder all the time. But now it's at the point where like I need to bind pretty much all the time. I mean, I have medical conditions that make it so that I can't bind all that often, which is really hard. But yeah, I can't leave the house without it anymore. And for those that don't know, a binder is just like a really, really compressing sports bra, essentially. It just makes it so that your chest looks flat. So that's been interesting. Another thing is that I've gotten new dysphoria. So I've never experienced bottom dysphoria ever before. I was totally okay with what I was given. But all of a sudden, like last week, I had this day where I just sat in bed all day feeling like this crippling sense of bottom dysphoria that was totally new. And I didn't really know what to make of that. I went to a support group, talked a little bit about self-love and how that is a difficult goal to achieve sometimes when you don't love parts of your body. And so self-acceptance is a much more attainable goal. And so I'm working towards self-acceptance. I feel like with these types of videos and these types of transitions, we tend to focus on a lot of the positives. And don't get me wrong, there are tons. Like, I am so thrilled and I wouldn't change it at all. I'm so happy to be on HRT. This is definitely the right decision for me. But there's a lot that go with that. And it's not a one fix all. Like, there's a lot of things that you have to work through while you're taking HRT. I feel like my situation may be exacerbated in a sense because I have pre-existing medical conditions that make it so that I can't do as much physical activity as I'd like. A lot of folks on T go right to the gym, and that's one way for them to kind of get those extra feelings out and work on like their self-care and get the body image that they've always wanted. But for me, it's not as much of an attainable goal. And things like surgery with a connective tissue disorder, I mean, there's extra complications and risks involved. So I've just been thinking a lot about that and how my journey may look different than somebody else whose body might heal up better than mine. Not to say that the surgeries are not in my future. I've definitely been thinking more and more about at least top surgery, but I also have to just be more considerate of the fact that there are risks involved. And that's been really hard because I've been comparing my transition with a lot of other folks' transitions and seeing things that I'm not getting, or things that, I don't know, just things that I was expecting and didn't have happen, or other folks' journeys are happening a lot quicker than mine, like name changes or top surgery. So that's been really discouraging in a sense. Like I love seeing people's transitions and people's journeys, and I love sharing that trans joy. It is so amazing. But at the same time, it's just hard when you're not able to access those same types of care, and it just looks different for you. So I think the moral of this video is just to be really conscientious when you're starting T that it's not gonna fix all your problems. You'll feel better in certain aspects, but it's possible that maybe you don't. So for me, the advice that I would give myself is just self-care. Just look after yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Everybody's transition is their own, and you'll get there. So just gotta keep on trucking.